So quickly before we get into this video, just wanted to talk about two things real quick. Firstly, just wanted to remind you that tomorrow we will be streaming the episode live on our Discord server. You can check the link in the description for that. Please come join us, hang out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to talking to you all while the episode goes. Again, we're going to be watching this as it comes out, so about 5 a.m. EST. I know that's very early, but we're going to suffer together. It'll be great. Secondly, there will apparently be an announcement after the next episode. It's going to be Season 2, right? Like, what else could it possibly be? So you can look forward to seeing that as well. Speaking of Season 2, you read the title. You know what we're here for. Today, we're going to talk about what I want to see in Season 2 of Hanyo no Yashahime. Now, if you enjoy this kind of video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. Again, you can check out the description down below for links to my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitch if you want to be more active in the community, or you just want to support the channel a little bit extra. With all that being said though, let's get into the video. So I have a couple points written down that I want to talk about for things I want to see in Season 2. I also asked on YouTube what you guys would like to see. Probably should have did it earlier than I did, but we'll see what you guys say by the end of this recording. These are in no particular order. Some things at the top might be not important, some things at the bottom might be very important. It doesn't matter. These are just things that I really enjoyed in Yashahime, or things that I would like to see better in the second season. Starting things off, character design. I think Yashahime had some really strong character design. Between characters like Towa, Moroha, Setsuna, those three obviously look great, their designs are phenomenal. We also have Kohaku as an adult who looked great. We all know that Kyuki is my favorite character design in the entire show. There's a lot of color being used in Yashahime in very vibrant and interesting ways, and I love when they do that. Even Totetsu, who was just this big fluffy mouth monster, I loved how he looked. It was very cool, very unique and interesting, and I hope we get more of that in the future. What I would like to see is more demons, you know? Like, a lot of what we saw was very anthropomorphized or human looking. Yes, we saw Kyuki turn into a tiger thing. We saw Totetsu, of course, like I said. But for the most part, what we saw were just these human kind of monsters. I would like to see, like, some very scary demons. Also, we didn't even get to see, like, Konton's real form. We didn't get to see Totetsu's real form. These are things that I would have loved to check out, because let's look beyond just the human norm that we have. And like, if everything's gonna look human anyways, why does it even need to be a demon kind of show, you know? On the topic of characters, let's move past the design and onto their development. All three of the girls need something extra. I do like their characters all the way around, but they all need that little extra to really get where they need to be. Setsuna needs to open up to the other people. She needs some kind of moment where she's forced to show her appreciation and care for Towa and Moroha. Something horrible happens to them and she has to like go the extra distance. That might happen next episode, to be fair, but like, we need something there, right? Moroha, I would love to see her expand on her spiritual powers, maybe connect with Miroku about this. We haven't seen them talk at all, and I think like that would be a really cool dynamic. Miroku could fill her in about her parents, all that stuff. I think that would be great. I think Miroku is a perfect teacher for her. And give me some big Moroha moments. We really didn't have too many in the first season. I would love to see her shine more. And finally, Towa. She needs growth. Just all around growth. Towa still has my favorite design of any of the three girls, and the elements around her are amazing. I love the way she fights. I like that she has this peaceful philosophy and some abilities which lean into that peaceful philosophy, like that binding ability we saw her use just one time. If she's going to develop more skills, I would like to see these like pacifist ones, things that stop the opponents in their tracks and allow her to kind of talk to them that way. We don't need another Soryuha, we don't need more like power things, we have those. So give her more like utility and binding things, and also let her take steps so that she can recognize the difference between someone who can be made a friend and someone who's just an asshole and needs to die. Those are just kind of examples of people that I would like to see develop. I think in a nutshell, Setsuna needs to learn that she's able to trust and lean on people. Moroha needs to be able to have a little bit more time in the light because she kept getting shafted all season, and Towa needs to be more assertive as a character to really fill that protagonist role that she's been cast in. A reactive protagonist tends not to be the most interesting. Next up, give me some story arcs. Yashahime kind of just blurs together, right? Every instance was, for the most part, a one-episode thing. We had maybe 2 or 3 episodes in total where it bled over into the next episode. A lot of these conflicts lost their weight because they were dealt with just immediate. A lot of these conflicts just lost their weight because they were dealt with so fast. If we had Kyuki's fight last 2 episodes, 3 episodes even, it would allow that fight to feel so much more impactful and her character as a whole to be more fleshed out and enjoyable, but we just didn't have that. She transformed, beat him up for like 3 seconds, Toa got angry and Soryu-had her. The end. There was no real rising action for that, there was nothing special. It was just another fight that was decided by a beam struggle, basically. And yes, we saw Konton returning, we saw Totetsu returning, but like, the story elements of those episodes were done. Like, they were just coming back at a later time for a new story arc. Not so much that we had to resolve the previous one, right? Things that could have used a bit of extra time in this season, Kyuki, for sure. Totetsu, he was our first introduction to the perils, and he was just dead immediately. And then when we actually fought his revived skeleton, that also ended right away. I would have loved to see the episode about Miroku and Hisui's relationship fleshed out even more. That would have been amazing. Moroha's backstory could have been fleshed out more. Like, things like that could have been so much more interesting if they had more time to marinate, but we just didn't get that. On that topic of things marinating, we need heavier villains. Yes, Kiramaru is great, but again, we just don't know all that much about him. Zero is interesting. She has that bit of oomph that Kiramaru is missing, but she doesn't really have the power to back that up, right? They both have the elements that the other person need, and without the extra element, they just feel lacking a little bit. Again, characters like Kyuki, Totetsu, Tokotsu, and Konton all were pretty lightweight. Like, they didn't really feel impactful for the most part. Konton a little bit, Totetsu a little bit, but like, it just didn't feel right because of how they were portrayed, right? If we had to compare the 4 perils to something, I'm going to compare it to Pokemon just for ease of access. Let's imagine that Kiramaru is Giovanni, the top of Team Rocket, and each of the 4 perils was basically Jesse, James, Butch, and Cassidy. Not really a lot of weight. Whereas we could flip that and have them be like the Elite Four. These 4 very, very powerful people who are standing before Kiramaru, this champion. That's what I thought was going to happen when we had the 4 perils introduced, not what we had. And I think that heavier villains is very important for presenting a powerful story. If the heroes aren't struggling, then they're not really growing, if that makes sense. And on that topic, failure. It is okay to have your characters fail, especially your main character. Having them get bodied by Kiramaru tomorrow? Excellent. Love to see it. Give me more of that. Having them fight Totetsu and get overpowered, forcing Setsuna to transform. That was great. I loved that. Things like that that's phenomenal. I don't want these scenes where just like they win all the time because they're protagonists, the end. Give me some consequences. I think with Inuyasha, it was much easier to balance this out because you had all of the Shikon Jewel Shards, right? If Inuyasha's group and Kagura showed up to fight over a Shikon Jewel Shard, then it would basically come down to this big fight. Even if Inuyasha won, it could still happen that Kagura could steal the Jewel Shard. And having that secondary win condition allowed for the villains to feel more tangible, allowed for the heroes to still win while losing at the same time, and it gave this really interesting dynamic that even if they're victorious, there was consequences because they didn't do enough. They won the battle and lost the war, and that's kind of how that entire series went on. And I think that was a great way to do that, but there's nothing like that in Yashahime. Sure, we have the Rainbow Pearls, but Riku's the one collecting them, and we didn't know what he was about until like episode 22 or 23 or whatever it was. So like, okay, sure. On the other hand, we had these jewel shards going directly to Naraku, who was this absolute monster who wanted power and destruction. That's like a very tangible thing that these jewel shards went into using. And he would use these jewel shards to spread his influence and make other demons more powerful and go on rampages and do whatever he wanted for him. And like, every time that they lost a jewel shard, Naraku became more powerful, had more options, and that became tangible in the story. Whereas in Yashahime, every time they lost a pearl, they weren't actually looking for the pearls even. Like, it didn't matter. Riku could have all of them. Who cares? The only pearls that they really cared about were the ones that they held. And I feel like them not searching for the pearls left this weird imbalance where their goals and the villain's goals didn't line up. And because they weren't on the same playing field, it just consistently didn't feel right. Something I think that Yashahime did do right, though, was music. They very much continued the trend of Inuyasha's franchise of having phenomenal music, both in the background, the fight scenes, OPs and EDs, everything was great. I was actually listening to the OST before recording this, just to like make sure about this, and like, a lot of the music is really nice. So, I definitely recommend just listening to that on your own, by the way. But yeah, I would like to see more music in the next season. It was great. The next point I think is probably one of the bigger ones on this list, and that is utilizing secondary characters. We had a lot of focus on the 3 girls in the first 24 episodes, as there should be, to be fair. There needs to be focus on protagonists early on in the series. However, we had all these amazing secondary characters that just were never tapped into in any real way. Characters like Kohaku, Hisui, Kaede, Sango, and Kinu and Gyokuto all just were there. They didn't really do much. Kohaku, we've seen grow into this badass. He's confident, he's fun, he's like this great character, and they don't bring him up almost ever. He's been in, 5 episodes and just for short scenes? I think that having a bigger focus on Kohaku could be great, and I'll talk about that in a few points as well. Hisui, just like Kohaku, we've only seen a couple times, but when I first thought of Yashahime, I thought Hisui would have a role similar to Sango's, being part of the group and traveling with them and experiencing all these things, challenges, growth. He's just kind of there. We don't... he's mad at his dad one episode, but... who cares, I guess? It doesn't matter. Kaede is this well of wisdom, and they did tap into it a little bit, but, not at all, really. But, 1 or 2 times? She's there, she's old, she knows everything. She knows your parents, she knows their relationships, probably knows what happened to them, too. Ask some questions. You have the resources, follow up. I think that would be great. Sango, we see 1 episode, maybe 2. I think just 1, though. And, why? What did she do being there? There was nothing gained from her being in the episode. I love Sango, but she could have not been there, and nothing would have changed. And then the twins, Kinu and Gyokuto, I'd like to see them around a little bit more. They don't have to be, regulars every week, but, I don't know, every 5 or 6 episodes, sprinkle one of them in. They're both really fun and pleasant characters, and again, I'll talk about them a little bit as we go. I think another really big point is Inuyasha and Kagome's story being told to Moroha and delved into a little bit. I want her to search for her parents. What I don't want, though, is to know everything. I want a new perspective on Inuyasha and Kagome's situation. Not full scenes, but maybe images or clips or teasers. I want it to be mysterious but present, And I want Moroha to be interested in solving that mystery. Whereas right now she's so bound by her money situation that she just can't do that. And I think that's really sad, and I would like to see that explored more. Next up, Miroku, I want to see finish his training arc. I want to see if he gets this new ability. I want to see if he can rejoin his family and fix things up again. I want to see Sango's reaction to him coming home. That would be phenomenal. But most likely to do that, we would need to jump ahead roughly 6 or 7 months, was it? That's, I think, how much time he has left on the Kaihogyo. And speaking of 6 or 7 months, I think that would be perfect for a small training arc or time skip. Let the girls have some mentors that they can work with. We could have Setsuna and Hisui learning from Sango and Kohaku, these demon slayers who could learn from the past generation, learn new abilities. That would be phenomenal. Even Sango and Hisui both using the Hiraikotes, that's something they can work with. Moroha could learn how to use spiritual powers from Miroku or Kinu, something extra from what we have now, some kind of mentor. And Toa could learn from her dad, could learn from Totosai, could learn from all these extra characters around them, but they just don't implement how they're used. And I think that a small time skip would allow Miroku to come back into the picture, and for the girls to develop in meaningful ways where they could actually be relevant in a fight against someone as strong as Kirinmaru. Now, would I want them to be stronger than Kirinmaru after that time skip? No. I would like the combined force of all 3 of them to still struggle against him. That kind of thing, This season we saw more about Toga's life than we ever had. I would like to see that fleshed out a little bit extra. That might be a bit greedy, but I think Toga's one of the most interesting characters in the franchise, and we just don't have a lot of information on him. Having more clips where we learn about his past, where we see him and Kirinmaru together, where we see him defending Japan, where we see him battling other great demons like Kirinmaru, where we see him battling other great demons like Kirinmaru, like Lord Hyoga, like the Panther King. Things like that, I would love to see Toga do that and how he reacts. More of his relationship with Sesshomaru, more of his relationship with Sesshomaru's mother, more of his relationship with Inuyasha's mother. All of these things would be phenomenal to see, but we don't have any of that for the most part. So maybe in the future. Now, one thing that Yashahime did, for the most part not in a very effective way, was the use of filler episodes. There were too many filler episodes in Yashahime, and I would like that to be trimmed down a little bit and for filler to be meaningful. We don't really need the episodes where this random girl throws them into a tournament between demon slayers and bounty hunters. Why? But if we have episodes that focus on the girls developing a better friendship or better relationship together, and that's the core focus of the whole episode, not just a thrown in thing in the last 40 seconds, I think that would be really good. Just every now and then, maybe every 7 or 8 episodes, a small fun episode where they all go somewhere together and actually explore their relationship dynamic. Most of the filler we had so far, it's really shoehorned and forced, I feel, and I just think that's a missed opportunity, because while filler can be very annoying, I think it can also be a very powerful tool in developing your characters, and it's often underutilized. Finally, the Grim Comet. This is the most important thing, honestly. All the other stuff, sure, whatever. This is what I would like the theme of the next season to be. Where is it coming from? Why does it happen? Who is inside of the comet? What is causing all these demons to grow out of the fragments? There are so many questions there. How are they going to deal with it in the modern era? Why can't they see it in the modern era other than Osamu Kirin? These are all things that I would love to explore, and I hope that that's something that they dive into in the next season. I hope that's the core theme, the core meaning of the next season, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now, as I said up top, I did also ask on the YouTube community tab what you guys would like to see in Season 2, so let's hop over there and see what everyone thought. I didn't give a whole lot of warning on this one, so we might not have too much responses, but we'll see. Now, like I said, I asked, what would you like to see Yashahime Season 2? We only got about 29 comments. I was a little bit late on this, but that's fine. So let's see what we said. More of Sesshomaru's mother and her interacting with Rin and her granddaughters. I just want to hear what smartass comments she will make. Absolutely agree. Would love to see Sesshomaru's mother meet the granddaughters. Would love to see how she interacts with them. I was talking about possible mentors earlier. Toa learning from Sesshomaru's mother, that could be really cool. Sesshomaru and Rin speaking together. Yeah, that's fair. Want to see Toa come into her own as a fighter and half-demon. And of course, I want Sesshomaru and Rin couple moments. Totally agree, these are great moments. More Moroha development and more compelling villains. I also want to see Moroha meet her parents and have a solid conversation with them. Would like to see Koga interact with Moroha too. Yes, to all of that, very good points. This is a good one. Usually I get a bunch of shit posts. These are great. I think maybe slower pace than Season 1 to be able to tackle each arc more clearly, and more flashbacks like to what happened to Rin, why she's inside the tree, why she's tied to Zero, more about Riku's existence, Kiramaru's memories, Inuyasha and Kagome's whereabouts, what's going on in Sesshomaru's head, and too many to mention other stuff. I also would like to see some more depth to the characters' development of the trio. Absolutely, I think I talked about all of those a little bit in this video as well. Alright, if I read all of the comments, we'll be here for a bit. I'm going to choose some that have very unique points. If Setsuna really dies, Toa and Sesshomaru bring back Inuyasha and Kagome to use the Meido to bring back Setsuna, bring her back to life. Basically like a journey to revive Setsuna. That could be a cool arc as well, if that happens. Family bonding in Season 2, whether it's between Sesshomaru and his daughters, or Moroha and her parents, I just want them to be a make-up for all 3 years that the Inuyasha family was missing because of Kiramaru and his crazy sister. Yeah, family bonding stuff would be cool. Inukog for sure, the girls start more training and forming a squad, them forming relationships with their parents, and maybe a Shippo appearance, but definitely Miroku and Songo. Absolutely. And yeah, the rest seem pretty much things that were mentioned above or in my video, so it's all good. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on what we should see in Season 2. A little bit of your thoughts as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's definitely a fun one to work on. A lot of really interesting topics, I think. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more. You can obviously check out the description for links to my Twitter, my Discord, my Patreon, and my Twitch if you want to support the channel a little bit extra. And of course, as always, a big thank you goes out to our Patreon with our Daiokai Aikerochu, Jacob Wiley, and Iffy Babes. our Yokai NL Cruz, Bloodwolf Mon, Jamie Heck, Joker Rose, Lucifina Akuma, and our Hanyo, Anthony Hogan, ICE Wallow Cum, Kiwi Dog, Love the Kiwi, Michael Greco, Nega Kitty, Samantha Olsen, Savage Camel, and Simon Electric. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.